swag of a prize fighter. The antithesis of a firefighter. Arsonist, I'm a fire rider. Instant flame like a firelighter. So special with shows, I live out my flows. Can't walk in my shoes, can't purchase my clothes. Ice in my veins, but I never froze. Picture perfect, but I never pose. As a juvenile, I knew I bounced back. Got rated, had a plan to get my ounce back. Use cheese as bait, that's a mousetrap. Let me to the right person to pounce at. They selling dreams, I'm pulling receipts. Full force, we can't be beat. Got a dirty mouth, but the flow so neat. Keep your 2 cents, talk is cheap.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is information from the world's most reliable newspaper, but the UK's finest newspaper, the Daily Star. According to the Daily Star, Anthony Joshua's next opponent is going to be Jermaine Franklin. As you can see, this is the Daily. The Daily Star. I messed up. The Sun, Daily Star, whatever. The Sun. I apologize to the Daily Star for giving you credit you didn't deserve. The Sun is the UK's in the world's most reliable newspaper, and what they say is Anthony Joshua set to fight Jermaine Franklin on April 1st in comeback bout after devastating Alexander Usyk defeat. So this is what the Sun is saying. I'm gonna turn it over to you, Trill Dollar Bill. What's your reaction to the Sun? If it's true, how would you feel about Anthony Joshua coming back against Jermaine Franklin?
I don't know. I mean, you know, the Sun, they told us to watch out for the Sun a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? That's what our UK brethren was telling us. They said, watch out for the Sun. There'd be a lot of cap over there, you know? Look, I mean, I'm not going to get too hard on the Sun. That's what they say is going down, is going down. You know, if that's what the route they want to go ahead. I ain't mad at them. It ain't like one of the Trill sources. You know, my sources be on point. I told y'all Devin Haney was signing a 3-fight deal, 2 fights with Kambosos and then Lomachenko. I told you about what Canelo was going to do. My sources, I told you AB was coming back. My sources better than the Sun, you know? But I really haven't heard anything about AJ coming back and who his opponent is be, you know. I'm not mad. I actually wish it was somebody else, you know, as somebody just to give him more of a confidence back. I think maybe Jermaine Franklin can mess around and make it a bad night for AJ. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I was hoping for somebody else, you know, just me being honest. I want like a confidence booster fight, you know, somebody we can just, you know, knock out and cheer and yell into the crowd, hey, you know, AJ, you know, you know, that's what I was hoping for. You know, somebody we really don't know who they are, but hey, I just hope that they're.
Well, this is the Sun's reporting, so you may get what you're looking for, Trey.
Yeah. Hopefully, they do, because I'm gonna be like, damn, Eddie, you're not doing right. You're not making the right matches, because this can turn out bad. This could look ugly. Frazier can make him make it look ugly in there. So I don't know. I was hoping for somebody else for AJ's return, you know. But what do I know?
All right, TBE.
It's good, but you know, this week I heard a lot of reports. Him fight. Thought he was gonna fight Dempsey McKean or somebody like that, and then I just read like he's out. There's talks of Otto Wallin. I just want I want AJ to fight like an opponent that like he knows he got to go in there. Like he has to beat him. Like Jermaine Franklin, he has to beat Jermaine Franklin. But you know, you never know. Jermaine Franklin might have the upper hand that night. AJ might be an off night. He might have AJ number. But you know, I'm excited for AJ's next fight. I just hope it's a great fight and he really gets the confidence boost off of that fight too. And that's all. Till it's set in stone, till we know who's actually fighting. It's all speculation for me. So,
of course, it's the Sun, and they're saying Jermaine Franklin, but I wouldn't write that off though. But before I dive into that, there's some things I want to address because Trill, you brought up how you would like to see Anthony Joshua take someone easier. And I saw in the comment sections when I was highlighting the fact that Eddie Hearn's plan to rebuild Anthony Joshua sounded a lot like the other promoters that he used to take digs at. People came for me again and said stupid stuff. Look, and said, "Oh, I criticized the way Eddie Hearn managed Anthony Joshua. Now that he's giving Anthony Joshua easy fights, I'm upset." One, that's totally false. I'm not upset, and I'm the one who actually said that Anthony Joshua deserves a tune-up fight after fighting the best back to back to back to back. That was one of my major criticisms of one of my favorite fighters, Felix Trinidad. I felt like he always fought the best back to back to back, and he never took the time to actually just have a camp, have an easy touch, let your body recover while staying active. So I recognize the value in that. My criticism of Eddie Hearn is when Gerald Big Baby Miller pops positive for banned substances and you need a replacement opponent, you pick Andy Ruiz, who's arguably a harder fight than Big Baby Miller anyway. And Andy Ruiz was already in shape because we just watched him beat Dermatrenko a few weeks ago. So you didn't even get an Andy Ruiz that was sitting on the couch. You got a fit Andy Ruiz who was better than Gerald Big Baby Miller anyway. And then you threw him in there to Anthony Joshua. And my point was he shouldn't have been fighting someone as good as Andy Ruiz on that night. He should have been fighting an easier touch because logically that's what makes sense. It's hard to overcome that letdown, especially with the buildup that they were having. So my argument was he should have fought someone else on that night. So instead of rebuilding Anthony Joshua, you probably never would have had to rebuild Anthony Joshua if you didn't make that bad decision on that night. So my point was he never should have fought Andy Ruiz on that night. Then he fought Andy Ruiz and he won. The rematch, got his belts back. So now we're talking about a guy who has all these belts and he has to make the decision on whether or not he's going to get rid of these belts, right? Or he's going to defend against mandatories. And mandatories are going to be the top tier most of the time, right? And you're going to be fighting top competition. So he reaches a point where Usyk agrees to step aside. He's supposed to fight Tyson Fury in Saudi Arabia, but Deontay Wilder wins arbitration. So Anthony Joshua needs to defend against Usyk now to keep his titles. And what I'm saying is there should have been a real discussion at that point is how much do these belts really matter? How much do these belts really matter? If AJ vacates this belt and Usyk wins it and Usyk fights for it, right? AJ still got big money fighting Tyson Fury. But that seemed like it was never even a discussion because everyone just thought it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to beat Usyk. I favored him in the fight against Usyk, but as I pointed out, as Dollar Bill pointed out, we're not that confident. We favor him slightly, but he could lose, and he did twice. Which brings us to the plan to rebuild Anthony Joshua. Why are you okay with Eddie Hearn rebuilding Anthony Joshua, but you weren't okay with PBC building Deontay Wilder? See what I'm saying? Am I the hypocrite or are you? I'm not saying I don't want the best fights. I want the best fights when it's logical. The best fights when it makes sense. I never said don't fight Usyk. I'm saying why fight Usyk at that time when you could have had the bigger fight? And now if you look at it, he's already gone. And so now after you've destroyed Anthony Joshua's career, you want to rebuild him. You don't rebuild something that isn't broken. Then you want to talk about being articulate. He said there's a plan to rebuild Anthony Joshua. And then in that same interview, he said, it's not that we're trying to rebuild him. You just said you were, though. It's your own words. So you're acknowledging that something was broken that you need to rebuild. I have no problem with rebuilding Anthony Joshua. In fact, I think that would have happened and there wouldn't have been a need to rebuild Anthony Joshua if you would have had the maintenance in between fights. It's the lack of maintenance in between fights that led to Anthony Joshua breaking in the need to rebuild him. That's what I was pointing out. See, simple. But when you hugging, it's hard to understand that. You know what I mean? But now answering this, I think it's perfectly fine to bring AJ in against a Jermaine Franklin. But like Trill said, Eddie Hearn and his matchmaking, remember, Jermaine Franklin was brought in to build up Dillian White and make Dillian White look good. Except I actually thought Jermaine Franklin beat him. So did a lot of other people. And he was lucky to get that decision. So do you really want to risk it, putting him in front of your cash cow? I think that's what you were saying, Trill. Do you really? So you thought he was food for Dillian. He proved he wasn't food for Dillian. Are you so sure he's food for Anthony Joshua? Especially when Anthony Joshua is reported to be in the process of switching trainers and is going to start training in America. Don't you want Anthony Joshua's first fight with his new trainer to be safer than that? I would. So I'm not against rebuilding Anthony Joshua. Wrong. I'm not against giving Anthony Joshua a safe fight. I'm just saying, once something was broke, you became a fan of that rebuilding process real quick. You wasn't a fan when other people was building, though. But once you needed to do it, it was okay. Classic Eddie Hearn style. You wanted a fan of drug cheats. When the drug cheat was Big Baby Miller, ban him. When the drug cheats Conor Ben, whoa, let's not rush the judgment. So come on now. Listen, I've been singing the same tune for years. Check the tapes. I'm not involved with any promotional company. I'm not a guy who used to hate on TC, then got in with TC, and now I'm a TC fan. That's other people. I just keep it a buck all across the board. So this is what they're reporting. Cool. I wouldn't mind it. I will say this. If AJ was to spark out Jermaine Franklin when Dillian White couldn't do it, that would be a huge confidence boost for him, I feel like. But I do feel like there's risk involved because Jermaine Franklin showed he has a beard and he can take some good punches. So AJ's going to have to be prepared to be in for a fight. He's going to have to be tough mentally, and he's going to have to be ready to go there. Because I can tell you that Jermaine Franklin isn't going to go in that ring to lay down. He's going to go in there to spark his career by upsetting Anthony Joshua. And everyone who steps in the ring with Anthony Joshua from this point on knows that. Even Deontay Wilder want a piece of AJ right now because they all see vulnerability. AJ needs to show that he's still that guy who will knock people's heads off. And once he do that, and once he does that, they'll all back off. But until then, people can't wait to get in the ring with him. So I think Jermaine Franklin, if that's the fight that they're going to put, that they're going to make for Anthony Joshua, they have to make sure that AJ is 100% on board and back. Because if he loses to Jermaine Franklin, it could be a huge blow to his career.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros.